.NET for Devices presents EvenTiles Part 3 Page Transitions. Hello, great that you are there again. We're just going to continue where we left the last time in our EvenTiles application. So I'm just going to start it again and I'm going to move from page to page. And what you can see is that those pages appear immediately without some nice type of transition. And that's completely different from built-in applications in your Windows Phone. To add those transitions, we can make use of the Silverlight Toolkit for Windows Phone, and we just use Bing to search for it because it's a separate download that you need to install. The Silverlight Toolkit has a November 2011 release, and it contains lots of additional functionality that makes your Windows Phone application simply better. So there are lots of controls in there, and there is also functionality for those page transition amongst others. Now, in order to make use of that, what you need to do is add a reference to the Windows Phone Toolkit inside your solution. So that's what we're gonna do right now. We're just gonna search under the .NET tab in the Add References dialog, and what we're gonna see is the Windows Phone Toolkit. We're gonna take the October version here. I'm gonna click OK, and that reference is added to our project. The next thing I'm gonna do is open my app.xaml file, because those transitions that we're gonna use to turn from page to page are defined in XAML. Now I could have chosen to add individual pieces of XAML to each of my pages, but instead what I'm gonna do is add one resource for my entire application. I'm just gonna use a code snippet here, and that code snippet contains page transitions to get into a page, so to make a page visible, and to hide a page again to make a page invisible. And let me quickly fix my syntax problems here. And after fixing this, you can see that I still have some error indications. The reason for that is that we need to add a namespace to our XAML file. So let's just go ahead and do that, because we are making use of that Silverlight Toolkit, so we need to add a namespace in order to make all functionality inside the Silverlight Toolkit available to my app.xaml file. So I'm just going to add that namespace, and Visual Studio is helping me here by looking at all the assemblies that we have available. And now we are done with our resources here to get those page transitions working inside our application. So what you can see is that, hey, if we are moving backward, then we have a particular transition defined. The same thing is true if we are moving forward. So if we are turning our pages forward or backwards, we are having different animations that will run. In order for our transitions to really work, we need to do something else. So now I'm opening my app.xaml.cs file, my code behind file, and we're just going to expand that phone application initialization area there. And what you can see here is that we create a new root frame of type phone application frame, and we're going to change that into a new transition frame. And with that we are basically done to get transitions working on our pages. What is left to do is specifying on which pages those transitions should work, and for that let's open Expression Blend. Now, Visual Studio asked us to save our changes. Then we just opened Expression Blend from inside Visual Studio. I'm going to make sure to have my main page entirely visible. Then I'm going to select my main application page. I'm going to right click in Expression Blend. I'm going to edit the template and apply a resource, and that resource is exactly that page transition XAML that we defined. We're going to do a similar thing for the About page. Again, making sure that we're going to edit the template. We're going to apply a resource being that page transition resource. We're going to repeat that same action also for the setting page. Just doing exactly the same thing because we defined our transitions on one central location inside our app.xaml file. So we don't need to repeat all that code. What we're now going to do is just run our project from inside Expression Blend, and we're going to take a look if those transitions are currently working. So let's just move from page to page. And what you can see already is that, hey, we have some transitions, and those transitions are working. So the complete experience of our application just improved a little bit. Now let me make sure that I can see the entire settings screen here, because there's something else in the toolkit. There's a lot of new controls available in the Silverlight Toolkit, and let's just add one of those controls inside our settings page. We're not going to add functionality yet, but at least let's take a look at that control. So I'm going to search for a toggle switch, and here we have a toggle switch, so I'm going to select that toggle switch right now. Then after that, we're just going to add it to our page by double clicking on it, and right now it is positioned in a wrong location. So what we can do after selecting a cursor is just drop it down inside our content area and maybe just make it fill up the entire page. What I also want to do is make absolutely sure that the toggle switch is not part of our layout route, but that it's going to be part of our content panel, because the content panel is the part of a Windows Phone application page where you will add your user interface controls. That content panel is a grid control, and it still doesn't look good the way it is right now. And in order to fix that, what we're gonna do is add a few properties, and what we're gonna do is actually add a couple of row definitions here. So I'm going to add a row definition. I'm going to define its height as 1 star. I'm going to add another one. This one I'm going to define as auto size. And what this means is that if we are using that star, it simply means that it's going to fill up the entire remaining part of a page. That auto part, that's going to make sure that it's going to fill up as much space for a UI element as necessary. I also made sure to set the row definition for our toggle switch to 1. So let's just take a look how our application looks like right now. So I'm going to start our project again. We're running again in the emulator. Let's go to that settings screen, and what you can see now is a toggle switch, and we can switch it on and switch it off. So that's pretty nice functionality already, even though there's no code behind that toggle switch yet. And once again, that UI control is defined in the Silverlight Toolkit, so it's definitely worthwhile getting that. What you can see is that, hey, since we changed code inside Expression Blend, Visual Studio knows that, and it warned us about that. Now, there are many different page transitions, so I'm just going to demonstrate one more transition here. And in order to do that, what we can do is just copy the existing page transition that we have in our app.xaml file, and that's what I just did. I'm going to rename that transition. So instead of my default page with transition, we're just gonna call this, for instance, a default page with other transitions, and we can just set that style later on to each individual page. Now this time we're not gonna take a turnstile transition, but instead what we're gonna do is, for instance, take a slide transition, and that slide transition slides up or down, and we're gonna just change all those turnstile transitions into slide transitions, and then we're just gonna see what the effect is inside our running application. So I'm going to quickly change all those different transitions here, and we're just going to continue that. I'm just going to take the same similar sort of transitions that we were using in our turnstile transitions. So I have different ones for each navigation that we are doing. Navigating in or navigating out of a page all result in a different transition here. Okay, and with that we are done. And what we need to do right now is, of course, making sure that after filling out all those transitions that we are gonna set our page transitions on individual pages accordingly. So in order to do that, let's just go back to Expression Blend, and now this time Expression Blend noted that we had some changes into our project. So that's already a clear indication that Expression Blend and Visual Studio work perfectly together. Now, instead of using that turnstile transition, this time we're going to use our alternate transition that is now defined inside our project as well. I'm going to do that for all our different pages. So I'm really going to do that quickly, and after that we're just going to run our application again, and let's take a look at the differences in transitions, because those transitions can make dramatic effects. So let's run our project again. We're gonna see it running inside the emulator, and now what you can see is that, hey, we have sort of a slide transition instead of that page turn transition. So this is a completely different look and feel. However, this doesn't really fit into the model of a Windows Phone application, because all built-in applications make use of that turn style. So I'm quickly gonna change that back again. And after changing all those transitions back to the original, what we're also gonna do is make sure that we remove that entire slide transition from our project. So I'm also gonna edit my app.xaml file one more time, because we don't want to have that unnecessary XAML code staying inside our application. And what I can show you now is that, hey, we can edit that app.xaml file also from within Expression Blend, because Expression Blend, besides its visual editor, it also has a code editor. So we're just going to select that entire second default page with auto transition area here inside our XAML. We're going to delete that, and with that we are about ready for this part of EvenTiles. We're just going to run our project maybe one more time, and you can see that now our original transitions are restored again. I hope you enjoyed this part of EvenTiles, where we introduced the Silverlight Toolkit, and we're gonna follow soon with the next episode in this series of Windows Phone developer videos.